And okay, so welcome everyone. Today is Linda Wirt Day, and Linda is a former classroom teacher from Delaware, and now she does work outside the classroom with Delaware HOSA and her consulting business, and she's just an expert on many things, and you may have heard her before. She's done webinars for us in the past, and today she's going to talk about the Cricut, and she's interested to know. She's going to ask you what you know about it, but she did this as a breakout session for us at the 2021 National Health Science Conference, and it was extremely popular, and we got lots of comments in the evaluations about how much they loved this presentation. And so we reached out to Linda and said, would you be willing to do it again? And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to her and just remind you that you will receive a certificate of participation for being with us live today. You don't have to request that. We'll send that out to you. And this is also obviously being recorded. And so it'll be available on the website. I'll put the link in the chat in about a week. We usually get those up in about a week. So with that, Linda, I'm passing the microphone to you. Thank you again for agreeing to do this for us. And if you all have questions, you can put them in the chat. I'll be helpful in getting those to her. And I think she'll have a few minutes left at the end for questions as well. Thanks, Linda. We appreciate you doing this for us.
Thank you, Nancy. Welcome everybody to Wednesday webinar. I am Linda Wirt and I live in Delaware. I've been a CTE teacher for over 10 years in allied health and medical assisting. That is what my trade is, as a certified medical assistant. And I also have a passion for crafting, which I have been able to marry together with my professional life. And so now I have a tendency to look at everything in a little bit more creative way when I approach my teaching style. So I thought I would share that with everybody. And I'm going to specifically talk about using a Cricut. And the first question a lot of people ask me, is it a Cricut or is it a Cricut? It's a Cricut, just like the bug, okay? And the bug is actually a logo for the company. So it really is a Cricut. So my first question to all of you is, do you know what a Cricut is? So if you could say yes in the chat window, that will let me know that you kind of know what it is. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, put no. And that can help me gear my presentation a little bit better. So Nancy's going to let me know how many no's I have. So I can look back to see, do I have to really go into more details about the machines or more how to use them and what you can do with them? Oh, you're on.
Linda,
okay.
I'm only seeing one no. But I'm not sure that the yes means they know everything about it. But there's
I just want to know that they've even heard the word before. They know what it is. So we're good to go from there.
They said they know what it is, but they don't. They have never used it before. So
okay, good. All right. So just going to go over some of the things that we are going to talk about today. And my agenda today is talk exactly about what is a Cricut, how does it work, and what can it do? How you can use it to enhance your program or curriculum, where can you purchase a Cricut if you do not already have one, and how do you get started? What's the first thing you need to do? So let's talk first about what is a Cricut. A Cricut is a personal cutting system that can cut many different materials. It can cut paper and vinyl and cardstock and leather and fabric and wood, aluminum. The list goes on and on. One machine, the maker, you can cut over 300 different materials. So it is endless possibilities. So there are several different types of Cricut models, and I'm going to be going over each one. I have the industrial one, the commercial grade one, and the middle one. I do not have the smallest one that is pictured here. So the picture you see here on the screen, the furthest back one, which is like a light blue, that's called the Cricut Maker. The one in the middle, which is a light green, is the Explore Air, and the one in front is the Cricut Joy. So I'm just going to go over the comparison of the different machines. Since putting this presentation together, Cricut has come out with more versions of machines. So there are newer ones. There's the model of the Maker 3 and the Explore Air 3. I'm going to go over the ones that are still available. You do not have to buy the newest of the that's out there in the market, especially if you're trying to save some money. So I'm going to go over the 3 different types of machines, and you can look at them, figure out what would work best for you and your needs, and then approach your research behind your budgeting based on that. The Cricut Joy, which is that tiny little compact cutting system, is just that. It's portable. It's very small, but it is small the fact that it only cuts things that are 5.5 inches wide. So it is portable, but the downfall is if you wanted to cut anything larger, you would have to piece it together. But it is great little cutting machine that is very portable. You can bring it into the classroom. You can bring it home. There are no plugs into your computer. It is 100% Bluetooth. So you would use only your phone in order to design and send things to the Cricut Joy. It is limited that it only does cutting and writing, and that is it. And it only cuts about 50 different materials as in comparison to the other 2 machines. The Cricut Air Explorer, this is the 2 that I'm talking about, but there's now a new version 3. It is the most popular machine because it is at a good price point. It's very affordable, and it really can cut a wide range of materials. So it can be hobbyist, almost tipping into a little bit of a business as well. But this machine can cut things 12 inches wide, which is nice compared to the 5.5. You can also cut things that are 2 feet long because they sell mats that are 24 inches long. And this machine cuts over 100 different materials, where the Cricut Joy is only about 50 different materials. The tools you can use for this is you can cut, you can write, you can score. So there's a little bit more versatility with the Explorer Air 2. And the other great thing is you can do what's called print and cut in color. So you can send something to your color printer, then take that and put it on a mat and put it into your machine, and your machine will now cut it, where the Joy cannot do that. It's also Bluetooth compatible, and it has a USB cord that you can also plug into your computer. Then the highest top line is the Cricut Maker. And the Cricut Maker is considered the commercial grade machine. It is a professional level DIY performance machine, but a lot of people who have a small business also use this machine. It is meant to really take over repetitive use. And it is this 12-inch wide, just like the Explorer Air 2. The biggest difference, as you can see, is you can cut a lot more materials. Over 300 materials with this. I've cut leather, I've cut wood, aluminum. So that it's a lot more materials that you can use. You can engrave things, you can emboss things. So a little bit more you can do with the Maker than you can do the Explorer Air 2. So it is considered commercial grade, like I said, and it does the same things as the Explorer 2, where it does print and cut, meaning you can print something on your printer, then put it on in through your Cricut, and it will cut it out for you. It's also Bluetooth and USB compatible, and all 3 machines are iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac compatible. So you don't have to worry about what type of computer you have, because we're going to get into next is you must have a computer or a cell phone in order to use these pieces of equipment. So how does it work? You connect a Cricut, whatever model you choose, to your computer. You can do it wirelessly, or you can plug it in with a USB plug. You then create or download a design onto your computer. And that's key, because a lot of things like your school logo or HOSA logo, you can now upload into your computer and send to your Cricut, and it can cut it. So you can either create your own design, or anything you can download into your computer, you can send to your Cricut to cut. All right. You must use the Cricut software, and it's called Design Space. It is free. It is free. You don't even have to own a Cricut. You could all download Design Space today, play around in it. You just don't have a Cricut to send it to, but you could check out this designer software. If you've done any type of design work like Adobe or Affinity Design or anything like that, then this is going to be a piece of cake for you. But Design Space is not overwhelming. I'm literally taking an Affinity class right now, Affinity Designer, and I'm a little overwhelmed with it. And I know the Design Space, this isn't as technical. It's not, you don't need to be a graphic designer in order to do these things. So it really is user friendly, but I will let you know, you do have to use their software, but it is free. You load your material. As you see in that picture, there's a green mat. It's a sticky self-adhesive mat, and you would put whatever you're cutting on there, paper, vinyl, whatever, and then you push a button and it feeds through and it cuts your project. So like I said, you can have a laptop or you can have a cell phone. You can also use an iPad. All those are things that you can use specifically with your Cricut software. So how can you enhance your program or curriculum using a Cricut? Well, I'm only going to talk about 3 things today, but there's way more than that. The first is creativity. You can use your Cricut and bring in extreme creativity into the way you teach your subject matter. And I will show you some examples of the way I have brought it in and made some of my subjects and topics a little bit more interesting for my students by using my Cricut. I always use it to organize, but both at home and in my classroom. And I've also used my Cricut to help my students organize their life in and out of the classroom. And I'd have to say the biggest reason why a lot of schools invest in Cricuts is for fundraising. It is much, much less expensive to do fundraisers with a Cricut because you're just buying the supplies, which are much cheaper. I don't think I ever bought a t-shirt like from Custom Ink or any place else after I got a Cricut because it was just so much more inexpensive to do it myself. So you can do that. You can do fundraisers for community service projects. And I've pretty much the past 3 years, because I've had my Cricut 3 years, have used it exclusively for fundraising for my students to go to ILC for HOSA. None of my students, I'm proud to say, have ever had to pay a penny to go to ILC, ever, because they've done fundraising using all of the Cricut projects that I've come up with, decals and things like that I will show you. So it's great to use for fundraisers. Let's talk about the creativity aspect of it first. So obviously you can have fun with it, which is like decorating your room, changing the atmosphere, things like that. So that first picture on the left-hand side is my front door of my classroom. And our school decorates our doors for Halloween because we do have a preschool program in our CTE area and the little kids come to the rooms trick-or-treating. So we all kind of decorate things. So that was just something just to decorate my door, and where it says MAs wrap your boo-boos, that was made with my Cricut. The eyes were made with the Cricut, and that teal pumpkin outside the door was made with the Cricut. If you look to the right there where it says medical assisting, that is a 5-foot long high mural that I put on my wall. So it is removable vinyl. You can take it down, you can change it out, you can do whatever you want. But if you're looking to decorate some plain walls, you can do that in your classroom, including you can do it with cinder block. So some people say, oh, I have drywall or I have, cinder block, I can't decorate. Yes, you can. The Cricut vinyl does work on cinder block. So that's one thing you could do. And if you can't go directly on your wall, then you'll see down below there, I made some canvases. And that's iron-on vinyl, and I ironed the vinyl onto the canvas, and then I use those as decoration in my classroom. So you can do it for just fun decoration. Believe it or not, the students do pick up on that, and they're actually quite interested in it when they come into the classroom. They usually, I do something different, I wouldn't let them know what it was, and they go, that's new, isn't it? I'm like, yes, it is. I have big windows in my classroom, so Cricut, you can make window clings. So I made window clings of all different types of things of medicine. I had 3 windows that have clinical types of window clings, and I had 3 other windows that had administrative type of window clings. And I would have freshmen come through to see whether they would want to choose my career area. And the more obviously appealing it is visually, they'd be like, oh, this is pretty cool. I think I'd want to come and take class in here. So anything I could do to spark some interest in my program is what I would try to do with the decor in my classroom. So besides functionality, I was also trying to attract new students into my program. I also use my Cricut for recognition and acknowledgement gifts. So you can create your own gifts for student recognition. So if you look at the bottom of the screen here, I made tumblers for each of my seniors for senior rec night. And I put their name, their credentials on there. I created a logo with our school initials and the heart with the heartbeat through it for medical assisting. And they all got those at their senior rec night and at their pinning ceremony. I also make prizes for special events. It could be a big event or it could be a small event in my classroom. So if you look up above, it says the medical spelling winner. So I had a medical spelling bee to help get my students prepared for medical spelling for HOSA. And so it started out as a classroom thing, and then it became a district-wide event. So the prizes kept changing each year. These are just water bottles and with some gift cards that came from sponsors, just attach those and put them in. It's just a nice little way to give a recognition to a student for a particular occasion. I also make things for business partner appreciation gifts. So if I have a new business partner or company or a facility that is now accepting my students for clinical rotation or for co-op jobs, I will customize something with my school information on it and give it to them. It could be something as like a jar with candy, but now I've put my school logo on that jar so they have it on their desk and they remember, oh, my, St. George's, they're the ones that sent me these students. So it's something to keep in front of them. I use it big time for HOSA. I will say that, especially my students, because if you have anyone participating in health career display, they're going to love the Cricut because they can make all these different things to put on the health career display boards. But I also use it for shirts. The tote bag was made for advisors, and we customized those and gave those to the advisors in our state. Then the middle is the front of the shirt, and then the back of the shirt is to the far right. I made these for the advisors specifically in my school. So designed that, and that way they could go ahead, and we have HOSA Fridays. So every Friday, everyone would wear their HOSA shirt. So all the other career areas would know what HOSA was or is. You can also use them to customize tumblers and mugs and glasses, whatever you would like to do. On the far left-hand side, you'll see these water bottles. I got them at Walmart for 50 cents. And the vinyl cost me about 15 cents. So I made those for my students and put them in their lockers on the first day of school and gave them their locker combinations. So when they went to go to their locker, they had a nice little gift inside their locker. So they now have their water bottle that they can use in the class, and it has their name on it. In the middle is an example of a business partner. So I partnered with a Delaware Vision Academy because we were doing vision screening, and my students were the people who were actually administering the vision screening, but they gave us all their supplies to use. So as a thank you, I contacted the office manager, got permission first, always get permission before using a logo or a school logo or brand, and got permission, made this, and went ahead and gave it to them as a thank you, got a call back and asked if they could purchase 50 of them. So I was like, sure. So I ended up putting that money towards my classroom fund, and ended up treating my students to some new supplies for our lab area. The far right was just my personal Yeti tumbler that I decided to decorate. And for some reason it blew up and everybody wanted one. And so that ended up being sold. And those were same thing, very inexpensive. And that ended up being a fundraiser as well. So some things were by happenstance that happened and others were actually planned. So it is interesting once it gets going. Some other recognition that I've done is for graduation. Your One Smart Cookie. I made these for my students and also for the preschool graduates across the hallway from me. HOSA recognition, I use this quite a bit. You'll see on the right-hand side, I kind of made a pun there with the crushed soda and the bubble gum on top. And I just made little labels. Thank you, you crushed it as president and blew us away with your leadership. So I kind of give that to our officers. And on the bottom, I decorated gift bags. And the far left was a skills bag. So my medical assisting students who were competing at ILC needed to have their PPE and everything in a bag when they went to ILC. So I went ahead and just got plain drawstring bags, and HOSA does let you use their logo. You can't do anything with it, but they do give you permission to use their trademark logo. So there is a place online on their website you can download it, or you can reach out to them via email at hosa.org, and they will also send it to you via email if you'd like. So I customized that so they knew exactly which was their bag when they got to ILC before they moved on to their round 2 competition. You can personalize items as well. So in the upper left-hand corner, I gave these to my officers to take notes at chapter meetings for HOSA. And I put their initial in the center, really easy, simple gift. On the right-hand side is you can personalize tote bags. You can put a school, you can put your program, you can put whatever you'd like on that, but you have that out there in the public for people to see. And then also whenever you're giving any type of acknowledgement in class, or if outside of class or for a particular event, always use that to decorate things up so they can have that as a reminder. Now comes the fun part, how to use the Cricut to help you with teaching. So I've used it in many different ways. These are just some examples. The far left, I went to the Dollar Tree and bought little trays, and then created my own little biohazard label and put that on there and made separate phlebotomy trays for each of my students. And it was sitting at their desk. So in there, I would have vacutainer tubes and the tourniquet and things like that. So I had little individual small phlebotomy trays that I created with my Cricut. And in the middle, I took whiteboards that I also got from the Dollar Tree and then Cricketed to make it look like a giant prescription. So when I was teaching administration of medication, I would have the students, for example, this patient, Mr. Smith is coming in and he needs his Lipitor medication and he takes 10 milligrams once a day and he needs a 3-month supply. Write the prescription. And they would write it on the board, on their individual whiteboard, hold it up and then show it, and then they could erase it again. So I made it something that is a functional type of thing that they could do when we were going through administration of medication. I also, during administration of medication, that far right-hand side, made individual medication kits for oral. So there's droppers in there. I would put medication pills, suppositories, anything having to do with medication, I would go ahead and put in that little thing. And if you notice, there's tiny little pill bottles with numbers on them. When students come into my classroom, they're employees of my medical facility, and every single employee has an employee ID number. And that ID number is used for everything they do in my classroom. So for instance, if it's a supply in the lab area and their employee ID number is number 8, they're always going to grab things that are number 8. If they go to their mailbox, it's numbered, it's number 8. I have cell phone lockers. The cell phone locker would have their number on it. So they are getting used to their time clock. When they would punch in with their finger for their time clock, it would have an employee ID number. So it gets them used to that. And including, I also would I would take those little bottles with the numbers and I would use them as desktop numbers. And every day they would come in, they'd be sitting in a different chair. Because the one thing I want to teach my students is in the medical community, you must be flexible. You can't just fall into one routine type of thing. So I would use those and move those around every day with Velcro from the different types of viewpoint of the student. They would come in and they would look to see where they're sitting that day. And those are all made with the Cricut. So these are just some of the things that I've used to implement in the clinical aspect of my classroom. In the teaching theory aspect, I would use my Cricut to make stickers for the leads for teaching EKGs. So I printed out a picture of just a plain chest and then also the skeletal. And I made the leads that you'll see V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6 are in the colors that match the leads on the patient cable. So they would, when they got to actually hands-on working with the EKG machine, it would match. And on the right-hand side, you'll see that they had to put the stickers in the intercostal spaces on the top, and then they would flip that over, and then they would have a plain chest, just like a patient looks, and then they would do the stickers on there as well. So it's just another way to give them a tangible tool to practice on before they actually did the mannequin and then eventually a live person. I also use my Cricut to make medical terminology a little bit more fun to learn and also to review. So the top giant blue thing is actually a giant die that I found at the dollar store, and the ones down below, orange dies, foam die, also from the dollar store. And I just took Cricut vinyl, put it over it, and I pretty much roll the giant die in front of the classroom, and it might say, plasty. And then each group of the students would roll those dies and say, let's say they get the letter T. Now give me a term that begins with the letter T and has the suffix plasty. And then we would do that as a review. I also do smaller dice. If you'll see on the right-hand side, there's little wooden dice, and I would put little sticker letters on each side of them. And each group of, 4 students would get the die, they would roll it, and they would have to, almost like Boggle, how many terms can you come up using those letters? So it's just a fun, creative way to do review for medical terminology. And the students really, really enjoy this very much. Just very simple. You get two dice together at the Dollar Tree, and you can go ahead and make some dice and make as many as you want. You can put them in groups, or each person can have an individual one.
Hey, Linda, hey, take a little bit of a breath. There really isn't a question. There was just one of the participants wanted to know, could she be a student in your program? So I thought you would be flattered by that. And couple of people were really impressed that your students have been able to attend the HOSA ILC just based on your fundraising projects that you were able to provide for them. So
Yeah.
I was just letting you take a little bit of a breather and
All right.
just giving you a little update on what folks were saying in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nancy. All right, so this is a great tool, definitely, and you can use this in many, you can, like I said, you can use it as a review, you can use it as a teaching tool. My kids absolutely love this. You can do categories with it. You could roll a die and have a T and say, okay, come up with a diagnosis, come up with a procedure, you know, come up with a clinical symptom. You know, you could do whatever you want with it, but my students absolutely love this particular way of reviewing. It just makes it a little bit more fun, and it's very, very inexpensive to do. When I teach anatomy, I give my students giant paper dolls. Yes, remember I told you the Cricut can cut 2 feet long? These dolls are 2 feet in long. They're 24 inches long. And I cut the digestive system to your far left there, the organs and everything. In the middle, I did the bones, and then they layered them on top of each other on the far right. So you could also have the students label them. My program couldn't afford, I've been to, you know, Nishi, I've been to, you know, many different places where they do the clay and stuff like that. My school just could not afford the investment in those particular programs. So it's like, what else could I do? Because I just loved the whole, molding things with the clay, that Starla does and all this kind of stuff. But my school just was not willing to invest that money. So I had to come up with another way. And paper is very inexpensive, and plus they can write on it. So it's really cool, and you can customize the colors. So I customized the colors to match the textbook. So therefore they had a reference to the textbook as well. So it's a way to make a connection. Because it's paper, they also can write on it. They can take notes on it. So on the bone, instead of just putting femur, they could put largest, strongest bone. They could actually take notes on it as well. So it actually becomes a study guide for them. So it's
okay, Linda.
Yes.
This has to do with what you're talking about now. And
Well,
first of all, did your school purchase this for you, or was this a personal purchase?
I used my budget for my classroom.
Okay. And then Laurie said, we're just finishing this now. I wasn't able to cut it in different colors though.
This is all different. You can either send it to your printer, your color printer, and print it out, and then just have your Cricut cut it. Or all the colors you see there are different colors of cardstock paper.
Okay. And then do you laminate these?
I don't, because I want my students to be able to write on them. But you could, if you wanted to use them from year to year, absolutely could laminate them. It depends how you would like to use the tool. I like them to write on it. I might even say, when you're doing the organs, list 3 diseases. What kind of symptom would this person have for this particular disorder? So I kind of use it more past just the anatomy. I use the physiology aspect as well.
Okay. And then we congratulate Christina Doyle. She said she just got a grant to be able to purchase the machine and the materials. And then Lisa had a question. What is the cost of the upkeep of the Cricut?
Once you have I've had my machine for 3 years, so I've never had to do anything. So it's only the disposable things such as paper, things like that. But once you buy the Cricut and you buy, the tools for it, it's just an initial investment. The only thing you're going to continue to purchase is maybe the mat, but actually I've had the same mats for 3 years. I just cleaned them down with some Dawn soap and they become sticky again. So I've never even had to buy mats again. It's just whatever is disposable and usable. Like you have to continue to buy paper and vinyl, obviously the things you make your items with, but otherwise the machine is an investment that you don't have to purchase again.
And are there many things that could go wrong with it that might need repair?
I've never had, don't jinx me now. I've never had an issue with my Cricut whatsoever. It is a very, very well-made machine, and I've not had anything. I've not even had to do like updates or anything. The only thing being updated is the software that you use to design things, not the machine itself. So the designer software will continually, and that is free of charge. There's no charge for upgrading or updating that.
Do you use the Cricut software for these items or do you Google images?
You can do either. You can either, I belong to the Cricut Access membership that is offered that you can purchase. I think it is $7.99 a month, and you have unlimited access to over, I think it's 150,000 images, 30,000 fonts. Like, it's ridiculous amount. But if you don't want to invest in that, anything you have on your computer, you can send to your Cricut.
Does the blade ever get dull?
It does. That might be the only thing maybe you might want to update, but I actually have two blades, and I have one blade for whenever I cut paper, and I have a different blade for when I cut vinyl, because they will dull each other. So therefore I have one that is only doing paper and one doing, so I'd have to say it takes quite a bit, but there's your upkeep. You found an upkeep right there. It'd be the blades would probably be the only upkeep.
And you can purchase additional blades. Is that what I'm?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And I know this is going to vary depending on the project that you do, but there was a question from Melanie about how long does it take to do each project?
Yeah, that depends on the actual project itself. To be honest, half the time I spend more time designing it than to actually cutting it. So yeah, because the machine does all the cutting for you, all the work for you. So it really depends on the project. When I get to the one project, which I will tell you was my largest fundraiser, and that pretty much exclusively funds all of my students for HOSA trips, very inexpensive and very quick.
And the website where you pay that monthly fee for the access
is Cricut.com.
Okay. And Joanne asked, do you pay that personally? And we know teachers spend too much of their own money. So I don't know, was that something the school was willing to do for you, or did you?
A lot of schools do it, and then they share the membership with all the teachers that have access to the Cricut.
Okay. All right. Well, and then Karen said that this is great for health fairs and teaching younger students too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Can you share your designs with other teachers?
As long as they are not uploaded. So for instance, if you upload anything into Cricut, you cannot now share it with somebody else. And they do that to protect themselves. There are some people out there that upload things they shouldn't. And what I mean by that is they're copyrighted and trademarked. And Cricut doesn't want the responsibility that you illegally brought something in and now want to share it. So I know a lot of people, Cricketers, are out there angry with Cricut, saying, if I designed it and I brought it in, I should be able to share it. And their viewpoint is, we do not want to be liable for you sharing something that you shouldn't be sharing. So you can bring something into their space and you can send it to your Cricut to cut, but you can't share it if you bring something in. If you create, like I do, most of my stuff with all the images and fonts that Cricut offers, yes, you can. So if you go into Cricut Access right now, I could share all 54 of my projects that I'm showing you today, because they were created in Cricut. I didn't upload and bring them in. The only thing I couldn't share with you, obviously, is HOSA stuff, because I brought that HOSA logo in, but with permission from HOSA. But Cricut doesn't know that, so it's not going to let me share it. That makes sense.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to derail your presentation, but the questions were coming, and I was afraid we wouldn't. I didn't want to miss anyone. So
no problem.
We'll take another break. You still have about 22 minutes.
Okay. All right. So this is the anatomy. Organization. As Nancy probably going to test, I'm probably a little too organized. I organize everything. So I organize my health science classroom for both my students and for my program. If you notice on the lower left-hand side, as I told you, all my students have employee ID numbers. So I took, these are very large pencil cases, and in there I put a pack of crayons, colored pencils, scissors, glue stick, ruler, anything I need for any of my hands-on projects are put in these pouches, and they're left in the classroom. Therefore, a student can't say, I don't have this, or I don't have a highlighter, or I don't have, yes, you do. They're in your case, and those cases are kept in the classroom. All right. In the middle, you'll see I have this is actually like a bead organizer. One says sophomore, one says juniors. And once again, they have their employee ID numbers in there. And this is where I put earbuds. because the biggest complaint I got was, oh, I forgot my earbuds. Sorry, I can't listen to your video. Can't, yeah, you can. I have earbuds that are allocated for every student that I bought on Amazon with my classroom budget money. And I keep these in the classroom and they have those in there. So when a student comes in and goes, I forgot my headphones, I go, okay, go to your earbuds and get them out there. They have little alcohol, they wipe them, clean them. They are theirs. You know, those sophomores have their own set, the juniors have their own set. So they're not sharing. So there's no problem with, you know, hygiene at all, but those are kept there. So in case they need it, it's there. So I'm kind of a no excuse kind of teacher. You can't give me the excuse you don't have your earbuds. On the far right-hand side, you'll see I have dividers. My students have to keep a binder in their classroom and they have to have them divided by subject matter. And I actually label it for them and it is color coded. So that way they know. I say, go to the green section, which is chapter 1 about, you know, the nervous system, and put your worksheet, put your test that I just gave back to you, put any of your notes, put your LEQ questions in there. Like I have everything in one section and I do binder checks. And on the bottom, I organize my lab area by labeling everything. So the students more know everything is. With the Cricut, you can make it fun and interesting as well, but I use it for organizing my lab space area. To help my students get organized, I give them a printout of a calendar. These are Google calendars, and I create custom stickers for my program. And we painstakingly do this together. And I say, okay, your quiz for chapter 1 is going to be on the 6th. Everyone put a sticker there. Your test for chapter 1 is on the 11th. So they go ahead and they put all the stickers for the entire marking period on these calendars, which now go in their binder. So they can track. So I never have to hear, oh, I didn't know that was coming up. Oh, I didn't know HOSA was this day. Oh, I didn't know the field trip was that day. Yes, everything is here. Yes, my school gives out school agendas and school and student planners. Kids don't, my kids never use them or don't know how to use them. So this is something visually. And I also tell them, put your personal stuff in there. If you have a soccer game, I want to see it on your calendar because I want you to plan out that, oh my gosh, I have a soccer game here. I better study here because this is when the test is, right? So I give them the stickers for the stuff that's happening in the classroom, but then I say, now put anything else that you need to on this calendar. And this stays in the classroom. So it's not, I lost it, I don't know where it is. They check their binder every day and they get to see what's happening in that week. Great way to customize. And once again, as you can see, they're color coded. Okay. And then you have little binder checks, field trip, blood drive, fundraiser money due, group project due. You can make your stickers however you would like. I just, because I like them to be pretty and stand out, I made designer clipboards for my Delaware HOSA state officers when they went to Washington Leadership Academy this year. They were selling some charity links, and this actually drew some attention. People were like, well, where'd you get that? Well, my advisor made it. So you can do this, but you can also do it for your classroom. If you have a specific reason for a clipboard, whether it be for patient forms or if you have a particular project you're doing. I know some people use a clipboard for a bathroom pass. You can do whatever you would like, but this is just showing you some of the fun stuff I've done with it. Here y'all been waiting for. This is your payoff for buying a Cricut. Fundraising. You can make so much and make so much money with your Cricut. So some of the things I'm showing on this page, I'm going to end with my biggest fundraiser, which is, it's ridiculous how much money I made. I'm actually ashamed how much money I made on my biggest one. But these are some things. Once again, always get permission if it is a logo. So my school makes sure you have to pass it by admin, whatever you're doing with us. So that SG stands for St. George's, but it is their logo. So I had to get permission to use that logo and show what I was using for. Got the permission. These, once again, 50-cent water bottles from Walmart, sold like, I think we sold them for $5. It was insane. It was ridiculous amount of money we had on those. The HOSA tumblers, same thing. Those are just plain tumblers, and we put our state and the HOSA logo through it. And that was at a HOSA conference, sold like fire cakes. The bottom one, the keychain there, you can make with your school colors, and you can put a caduceus on there. You can put your program there. You can do whatever you would like. And this was a big hit. A lot of actually the driver's ed teachers liked them. They gave them as, as a reward for getting to a certain part in their driver's ed program, which was kind of neat. And some kids just put them on their backpacks. You don't even have to have a key in order to sell those. And then lastly, a lot of the career areas would reach out and ask for myself to design a shirt for their particular career area. And I say, sure. And then I would sell the shirts and then give my program the money, the benefit of it. So the surgical tech program we had, I designed this shirt for them and she sold it to all of her parents, teachers, and students to raise money. Shirts are a big thing to sell, and you can buy shirts like for $1.25 from Jiffy Shirts, like really inexpensive. And they're the Gildan and the Hanes. You can, there's many different brands you can buy, but the more you buy in bulk, it's very inexpensive. You also can buy bulk t-shirts from Michaels or Joanne if you want to stick with them. But these are all shirts that we use for fundraisers. Every year I would design a different shirt for each graduating class. So that class that's their senior shirt. So they would have a senior shirt for their program, and then this, parents would buy it for them, or they would buy them. The middle is a shirt that I made for all of my students who were going to ILC for HOSA. So for medical assisting, I made that for them. And then that last shirt on the right was for Medical Assistant Recognition Week. And because it is in October and we made it a pink shirt, every faculty person purchased one and wore it on Breast Cancer Awareness Day. So this was a great big fundraiser for us, and it tied in to another activity that was happening in the school. More shirt ideas. We had a pep rally and had a dodgeball game. So my program decided to be the Disease Dodgers. And so we had a dodgeball shirt representing, once again, medical spelling bee. You saw the tumblers I did for 2020. This is the year before I did t-shirts for 2019 for the winners of the spelling bee. And then the other class for 2020 wanted their names on the shirt. So I took all their first names and put it on the back of the shirt. And then you'll see on the left side there, that is the front of the shirt.
Okay, Linda, just pause for a moment. Take a
Sure.
breath. I had a question from Melissa about stickers for the calendar, and how do you get the multiple colors?
So that's the print and cut feature. So I would design them in Design Space. You can change them to whatever color you would like. I sent them to my color printer, and people always ask me which one I have. I have the Epson EcoTank because I've yet to change the ink. It's been like 3 years. That sucker keeps going. So it's very, very, very good, and it makes good quality prints. So what you're doing is you just hit duplicate, and you duplicate your sticker as many as you would like, and then you send it to your color printer, print it out, and then you put it on your mat, put it into your Cricut, and it'll cut all around every single sticker for you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not just yet.
Okay.
Okay. You have about 13 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
This particular item was used for teacher appreciation gifts. So these are little mini cases that you could fill with whatever you would like. These were sold, and admin used them also to give as gifts to their teachers, but you could also do this as a teacher fundraiser, whatever you'd like. But this was a fun little item, very inexpensive and easy to do. The most successful fundraiser, I'm ashamed to say, because it's ridiculous how much money we made on this, is making decals for cars, tumblers, lockers, laptops, you name it, right? Very, very low cost. So you can get an entire 5-foot roll of vinyl for $5 and make, oh gosh, like 50 stickers with that, decals of that. And what I did is I customized them to different programs in my school. And then this medical assisting students, my program, sold it to the students in those different programs. So for instance, that top left, the plate, the fork, that I designed for culinary arts. The next one was for biochemists. The far right was athletic healthcare students or sports medicine. The next row was IT. The middle was electrical trades students. The right was medical assisting. The bottom left was for the EMS students. The middle was for early childhood students. And then the far right, down right was for HVAC. So think of the math here. Each of the students, and there was 3 grades in each of these different career areas, and each of them had about 30 students each, all wanted these decals to represent their program. So my medical assisting students went out and sold these decals for $5 a piece. And it cost them $0. It cost me $0. I had one teacher donate $40 to buy all the supplies. So I didn't even have to do that. I told the students that they would get 50% profit to go towards HOSA. And then I held up out to the end. And then I said, guess what? You got 100%. So for every sticker you sold for $5, I'm giving you that $5 to go towards your HOSA trip. So this is very, very inexpensive to do. It kind of snowballed and got out of hand if you want it to, because once the athletic director saw it, would you like to do these stickers for baseball, for basketball, for football? And he's just going on and on. I'm like, oh my goodness, you could come and you could set up a thing and parents could buy their kid's number. And it's just, you can go as big as you want with this. I just stuck with the career areas, but you could sell decals for different programs. You could sell them for different organizations. You could sell them for, your different athletic sports programs. But I'm telling you, this was the easiest one to do. And this is the one where every student was selling stickers, or decals, I should say. They're not stickers, they were decals. And it was a hoot to come into school and see all the decals on people's cars in the parking lot, because I knew they had all bought them from my students. Very, very inexpensive. I think obviously it cost me nothing, but the following year when I had to buy the vinyl, I think each decal ended up costing me like 7 to 10 cents a piece, and we were selling them for $5. So
Linda, there was a question about where do you get your vinyl?
I purchase my vinyl at usually Michael's, and I will say I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Cricut brand vinyl. If you're going to do these types of decals for a car, you want the brand called Oracle 651. It is meant for outdoor use, like people put them on boats and things like that. So it's meant to be weathered. Cricut brand is not. So that's why I used Oracle 651. There's also Oracle 631. It won't last as long, and it will last maybe 3 years. Oracle 651 I've seen on cars for 5 years plus. But very, very inexpensive, and everybody, it's a big seller. It's a big seller. Like I said, I've never had a student ever have to pay for their trip to ILC. Where do you purchase a Cricut? You can, I actually do recommend you purchase it through Cricut.com. And the reason for that is everyone thinks, oh, don't buy through there. I can find a better deal at Michael's. Like, no, you really can't. Cricut does have the best deals because they bundle things. You get a discount. If you're a member, you get 10% off of all machines. You get 20% off of all supplies. I was just in Michael's yesterday, and I was in the clearance section, and they had vinyl on clearance, for $10. I had it in my hand. I brought up on my phone and I went on Cricut.com, and it was on sale for $4 and something. I'm like, see, people are thinking, oh, if you're buying from the company, it's going to be more expensive. It really isn't. They really bundle everything together nicely and stuff. I'm not putting down Michael's or Joanne. They do have good stuff too, but I would promote, if you're really going to do some research and invest, I would purchase myself. That's where I purchased from, was Cricut.com. Plus, if you need to return anything or something happened, they've got record of it, where you don't have to produce like a receipt or anything from Michael's, even though, you should be registering all your products for warranty. But you can purchase from Michael's and Joanne. They both have huge Cricut sections. And you can also, I know some people who've purchased through Amazon. I personally have never purchased Cricut items through Amazon, but I have purchased at Michael's and Joanne, any type of like supplemental accessory kind of stuff. If I need a blade or something like that, I'll go there. But I, for the most part, order everything through Cricut.com. How do you get started? First, figure out which machine is best for you. Like I said, there are 3 different kinds. There's the Cricut Joy, which is very small and portable. And then the most popular is the Explore Air, which is now they have a 3, but you're more than happy to get a 2. It's much less expensive right now, and it does all the same things. And then you have the Maker 3. Research possible funding. As you heard already, somebody put in the chat. There's funding out there for it. There's grants, there's Perkins funding. All this can be used. When I did this presentation in the fall at the Nishi conference, there was somebody in my breakout session that said their school had 6 Cricuts and the school bought them all. So they used funding for all of that. So there is funding for that. So please look into that. Like Nancy says, you shouldn't be spending your own money. Okay. I know a lot of us do that because we want to do all those things, but please do the research. There is funding out there. And if you need to, share it with another program. Right? I know there are other programs there that could be using it as well, and you could share those expenses. How do you learn how to use it? Well, believe it or not, this machine does not come with an instruction manual. Most people are blown away by that. There is no instruction manual. All right. There's video tutorials. So you go to Cricut.com and it will step-by-step, like how to unbox it, how to do this. They're all video tutorials. They're online classes, and there are local in-person classes at your Michael's and your Joann's. I am also available for contact for information. My business is Creating with Class, so you can search that. I do have a Facebook group called Cricut for Crafters, Makers, and More with Linda Wirt, which I share a brand new project every single day. And I have a very active group. So if you're interested in that, you're also welcome to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Creating with Class, where I have YouTube tutorials for different things you can do with your Cricut. You can follow me on Instagram, where I post different Cricut projects as well. And you're more than welcome to email me at creatingwithclass@gmail.com. And you are more than welcome to reach out. I do online classes, virtual classes. I've done like 4 now where I've zoomed in and I've had teachers sitting there and I do the class via that way. So if you're interested in booking me for that, I'd be happy to give you, different types of classes that I teach. I have beginner all the way to, just how to use Design Space, or how do I use vinyl, or things like that. So if you want to book me for anything like that, I'd be happy to share with you the classes that I offer and any price list that you need. If you have any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer, but I appreciate all your time and listening, and I hopefully have converted you all to Cricut people.
There was a question. I think you answered it. She said, let's see, Lori said she went to your YouTube page and she to learn how to do all these things. And do you have videos to show us step-by-step how to?
But for what though? Like, for instance, I just had in my group last night asked for card making. So like I take pretty much what people are interested in and then go ahead and do that, because if there's something in particular, I don't want to keep redoing things that are already out there. There's some great YouTube videos, and what people don't do is go to Cricut, go to Cricut.com, and they will, like, literally how to download something. They will give you the steps, how to change your blade. They give you the step. Like, so there's plenty of videos out there. My YouTube channel is more of, people have seen me do a project and then they ask, can you do a video on it? So right now I'm really into washi tape. I don't know why, but I'm really into washi tape right now. And everyone's asking me for video tutorials on that. So whoever just asked that question, if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to either direct you to one that already exists, or if you need help with one or want me to create a YouTube video, that is pretty much where most of my, like the shirt that I'm making on the back with the design, that was, everyone wanted to know how to make that shirt. So there's a video on there. I think there's like 3,000 views, or it's the biggest video I've made, that everyone wanted to know how to design that type of shirt. So I do take recommendations of what you would like to see.
Well, I invite everyone to take a picture of that slide that's now on your screen. Also, there was a question about, can you do it on magnets?
Yes, there's magnet sheets. You absolutely can.
Okay. And also, what do you use to iron on t-shirts?
I use the Caesar brand, SISER. That is the brand that I like for heat. It's called Heat Transfer Vinyl. That is my favorite brand of heat transfer vinyl.
Okay. And then there was a question about vinyl decals. They weren't, they're interested in, and they can contact you, but they were interested in what size were the decals, and also a kind of a how-to video on making the decals.
I can definitely do that. I don't have a video, but I can absolutely make a video for that.
Okay. There was a question about where to find grants, but we know that's all, that's somewhat unique to a school or school district or region.
Mhm.
But like you said, most all schools that we have the pleasure of working with do get Perkins funds, and
Mhm.
that's a grant, you know, that all schools get some monies, and of course they have to be selective about how they do that. But the fact that you can use, it's a permissible use of those funds if their plans are written that way.
Exactly.
Okay, well, Linda, we just thank you. We have 1 minute left. I know there's been a lot. You are awesome, amazing ideas, all that there. And remember, we'll send you a certificate of participation. We'll also have this recording posted on our website in about a week. And we just can't thank you enough for your time today.
Thank you very much.